Hi everyone. On October 1st, the same day that we celebrate the wonderful feast of the protection of the Mother of God, the Holy Church also commemorates one of the greatest hymnographers of the Church, Romanos the Melodist. Now Romanos, who was born in the late 400s, is someone it is said that from a very early age was a pious youth. In fact, it was possible that he may have even had Hebrew parentage, although many of the synaxaria that are available are unclear about this. But there is no doubt that he loved the Lord from an early age and was very much given to asceticism, to prayer, to fasting, to all of those normal things that we as Christians should be engaged in. As time went on, though, Romanos also became a deacon and served at the church in Beirut and then later in Constantinople. But much to his dismay, despite his very good theological leanings and wonderful Christian practices, he was someone who did not have a very good voice. In fact, several commentators mentioned the fact that it was rather croaky and it was unpleasant and lacked all sense of melodiousness. This, of course, distressed Romanos greatly. And so he began praying in two different churches. One was the famous Church of Lacanau in Constantinople, but another church also that was dedicated to the Mother of God. He would go to every morning, and he would look at her icon and beg her with tears that perhaps he might receive the gift of music, the idea of actually being able to sing hymns that he felt were worthy of the Lord whom he served so diligently. At one point, he fell into a trance, and this very icon, the Theotokos, emerged from and had in her hand a wrapped up parchment on a scroll, which would later be known as a kondak or kontakion. And so she told him to take this scroll and to eat it. And he did, and he said that it had an indescribably sweet and wonderful taste. Well, later he came out of his trance or his vision or even his deep sleep, it's really unclear, and he saw that the Theotokos was still there in her icon as before, but yet something had changed. He did have the gift of melody and the gift of harmonious music making pleasing to the Lord. Now, many in the church at that time had been very critical of Romanos, because although they knew of his ascetic practices and his struggles and how pious he was, there was a lot of joking going on about the fact that he had this plain awful voice. Well, after this wonderful miracle of the Mother of God, on the eve of Nativity, he stood up on the ambon of the church and he began to sing the hymn that he composed, "Today the Virgin giveth birth to the Transcendent One," one of the most famous kontakions in the entire Orthodox Church, which is still to this day sung after the sixth ode of Matins. Now, the kontakion itself used to be a much more involved poetical form. It would have a theme song followed by any number of iki, which we would call the ikos today, and it was a long, extended sermon. Eventually, it was replaced by the canon of Matins. And today, only the kontakion, the theme song itself, followed normally, but not always, by an ikos, is given to us in the Matin service. Romanos, however, in his time, wrote kontakia for every single saint that he could think of, well over 1,000. And there are still 800 and some still in existence today. So he had become one of the most prolific songwriters, if you will, in the Orthodox Church, inspired on by his fervent prayer to the Mother of God, who granted him this wonderful gift. It goes to show us today that although not all of us have musical talent or artistic talent or many other different types of things that one might think would contribute mightily to the Orthodox Church and its beauty and transcendent services, that even if that is the case, though, fervent prayer and supplication before the Lord can obtain certain gifts which the Lord wishes us to use for the furtherance of His holy faith and for the right worship that's due to Him. By the prayers of our Holy Father among the saints, Romanos the Melodist, may all of us make use of our gifts in the best way possible and thereby please the Lord in the worship due to Him alone. Bye-bye.